Hello, hello. All right. Are we ready for day number 2? Yesterday was so much fun. And whoops, don't shut stuff off right now. Um, okay, you can still see me. That's good. I think. Hold on. Okay, we're up and running. Yesterday was so much fun, and I have thoroughly enjoyed seeing all of your replies on what you want and the feeling that you want. And you all did such a good job. I did email the winner. Her name was Sarah. So there will be another challenge from today's replay to have you reply again back to me. I love seeing the feedback. So make sure and watch for that. And we'll do another giveaway for tomorrow. So yesterday we talked all about the feeling that you want to have, right? We don't actually want to have weight loss. We want to have the feeling that we would have if we lost the weight, right? So that's the feeling we want to focus on. And then the other part of what we learned yesterday was to focus on who you need to be and not all of the how. Typically, we go into a weight loss phase focusing on what do I need to do? Tell me the things I do so I can check them off my list and I can do them. And then I can have my result and then I can feel the way I want to feel, right? But what we learned from yesterday is that we need to focus on who we are, how we're showing up for ourselves, not the how in what we do in our actions. That's not all of it. It's who we are. How do we show up? How do we be that future person now? We don't have to wait for our goal. We can be her now, right? So that's what you focus on. And now we're going to focus on a little more on the house, because I know that that's important too. What you put in your body is important on how you feel. It is a direct reflection on your energy levels, on your sleep, on your hormones, right? So we want to focus on that too. And today we're going to talk about blood sugar balance. It's so important to getting you to your results of losing weight. So blood sugar balance. Our bodies need glucose, but we're in a day and age where our bodies are getting a little too much glucose, because if you go anywhere, you notice that there's simple starches, sugar in everything, around everything, anything you order at a restaurant, anything you get quickly to eat, it's full of sugar, right? So it's an abundant thing we have around us, and it's not helping us whatsoever. But glucose is our body's favorite source of energy. So we do need glucose. We just need it in a moderate amount and in the right timing of our foods. We're going to talk about that today too. So every single cell in our body relies on glucose. It's very important. And the way our body gets glucose is by eating carbohydrates. And carbohydrates, to put it simply, are starches. So things that are like breads and pastas, potatoes, and sugars. So anything that has sugar in it is going to be a carbohydrate, a form of carbohydrate. When we eat, I'm going to explain how the blood sugar regulation balance happens very quickly, so you understand when I go into deeper concepts around this, you understand kind of like the gist of it. So what happens is that when we eat, we absorb the sugar and the starch from that meal. It goes into our gut lining, and then it gets slowly absorbed into our bloodstream. Then your body will sense the amount of glucose and it will release insulin from your pancreas. Glucose will hop on the insulin, and the insulin will shuttle it where it needs to be. So I want you to visually think about glucose is like this little piece of toast, right? So we have this little piece of toast that's hanging out in your bloodstream. It's going to hang out there until somebody aka insulin, takes it into the cell where it can be used. It's not useful in your bloodstream. You actually don't want very much glucose hanging out in your bloodstream. It can be very bad for you. So think about insulin is the bus, it's the transporter to bring the glucose, that little toast that's going to hop inside of the bus, and that bus is going to bring it to where it can be used. So first of all, it's going to make 3 stops. The first stop is going to be the cells in your muscles. This is really important. I want you to remember this because tomorrow we're going to talk about your metabolism, and this is really important. So your muscles are going to use it for immediate energy. So like moving up and down from your chair, if you're going to go do a workout, walking up and down the street, things like that, right? Your glucose is going to go there immediately and be used for energy. After that, after your muscles are full of glucose, then the next step is going to be your liver. And your liver can only take so much glucose too, right? It's not an endless supply. You don't get to dump everything in there. And then once your liver is full, then the last stop is fat storage. And fat storage is unlimited, right? Your body can just keep storing that glucose as fat as long as there's glucose to store. We thrive when we get a moderate amount of glucose. The problem is that our body doesn't get a moderate amount. It gets a lot or it gets none. Keto, right? Cutting out carbohydrates, feeling like getting the easy way out, right? Because you will see immediate weight loss when you do keto because your body is losing those glucose stores in your muscles and in your liver, which is helpful, right? We don't want to have a liver that's inundated with glucose, but your body will lose a lot of water weight because glucose also holds water in your muscles. You lose all of that when you do keto because your body has to use up those glucose sources for energy, right? That's why you lose a lot of weight really quickly. But that will only get you so far, right? So your body does prefer glucose as its source of energy, and your body can create energy in lots of different forms. It's not the only one, but it does prefer that. And you probably notice that when you feel tired or when you feel like you're losing your energy, you have a snack and you feel better right away, right? Because that's a quick source of energy, glucose is. So it's like watering a plant. Like you get a plant, there's my buddy back there. I don't dump gallons of water on him every day. He would die, right? And I also can't not water him. He would also die. He just wants some water. And that's the same thing with your glucose. The thing that is causing that can feel confusing is it's like, well, how much? Just tell me how much. And the thing is, it's different for everyone. It's different based on your age. It's different based on your menopausal status. Are you premenopausal, postmenopausal? It's different based on the muscle that you have on your body. It's different based on your activity level. It's based on your past medical history, everything like that. But what you're going to learn from today is that it doesn't have to be confusing, right? So, I can't give you a certain number today to tell you like this is how many carbohydrates you should have, but I am going to tell you how to regulate your carbohydrate intake so that you do have a slow absorption of glucose into your bloodstream so that you don't have spikes and crashes. So when your body is releasing insulin, remember it's the hormone it's the little bus that takes the piece of toast into your cells, right? Your body is going to guesstimate on how much insulin it needs to release based on how quickly the sugar is being absorbed into your bloodstream. So if you get an immediate, like if you have, let's say, oh, this is a good one. If you have a package of Skittles, right? That's straight up sugar. It's just sugar. Your blood sugar it's going to get absorbed really quickly into that lining, right? Because there's no buffer there. We're going to talk about buffers. There's no buffer there. So your blood sugar is going to go up really quickly. Your body's going to kind of freak out a little bit and be like, whoa, that's a lot of sugar. Okay, we're going to like send out the troops. There's a ton of insulin coming. No worries. We're going to take care of this. And so insulin does what it should do, and it should shuttle all of that sugar out from your bloodstream into your cells so it can be used. However, it overshoots it often because it just wants to protect you. Too much sugar in your bloodstream is not a good thing. And so it's going to take all of that sugar and put it where it needs to be. And pretty soon, insulin has overshot what it needs to do and has taken too much sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells and then into fat storage. And now you have nothing in your bloodstream for immediate use of energy. And then your body starts to freak out a little bit, right? And then your body will start sending the cues you often feel. So this will look like having cravings, right? So let's say, I'm not going to use Skittles as the example because I don't think very many of you are out there eating a package of Skittles every day. I'm going to guess that you had a sandwich for lunch, and then you also had a couple of potato chips and maybe a diet soda, and then maybe a couple pieces of candy afterwards for some sweetness. So if you think about the carbohydrates in that meal, right? You had 2 pieces of bread, you had a couple slices of deli meat, maybe some cheese, maybe some mayo. You had a few handfuls of potato chips, right? Carbohydrates, and then you ended it with some sugar. So that is going to be a lot of carbohydrate released into your bloodstream because the buffers in that meal are really minimal. The buffers we're talking about today are protein, fat, and veggies. And veggies, and I'm going to use veggies and fiber interchangeably, right? Because they're both, veggies contain fiber, veggies also contain phytonutrients. Fiber is the thing that's going to slow the absorption of the sugar into your bloodstream. Protein also slows the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream, as does fat. So we want to make sure, and we always have those 3 buffers whenever we're having carbohydrates. So if you think about that lunch where you had a couple slices of deli meat, not a substantial amount of protein. If we looked at a nutrition label, it's like 10 grams of protein with deli meat, okay? And then maybe a slice of cheese is a couple more grams, and that's about it for protein. And then fat, you have the cheese, you have the mayo, and you have some fat in the potato chips, which is helpful, but not, it's not a plant-based source of fat that has no fiber in it, right? It's just kind of straight up fat. And then we don't really have fiber in our meal either, very low amount of fiber. So the glucose, the sugar in that meal, the starches are going to be absorbed really quickly. Your body is going to shoot out insulin and be like, whoa, that's a lot. Okay, no problem. Here we go. It sends out insulin. Insulin shuttles all that sugar into your cells where it can be used for fuel. But then pretty soon we have nothing left in our bloodstream because we overshot the insulin because we had so much sugar really quickly. And then what do you think you feel? You feel tired, right? You have cravings. So you may notice that a few hours after having a lunch like that, you start to crave something sweet. And that's because your body needs immediate energy. It's all gone. Insulin has shuttled it all out. And the quickest way to get quick energy is through quick absorbing carbohydrates, just like what you did before. So pretty soon, you're now looking for the chocolate brownies that were in the break room. You're looking for a cup of coffee. You're going to just grab your kid's goldfish because you feel insatiably hungry. You feel like you have to eat right away. And all of these foods, these simple carbohydrate types of foods, are going to be put at the forefront of your mind because your body and your mind knows that it works. It's like, we just need some quick energy. Grab what you can because this feels a little unnerving. And then you do feel better for a short time, right? But only to end up with the same thing happening all over again. And I also want to bring up just shortly to something else to pay attention to when we have a lot of sugar cravings is that there's also gut bugs in your gut that love sugar and they thrive on sugar. And it's not the good bacteria, it's the bad bacteria. We want to have a balance of both. But if you notice you're having a lot of sugar cravings, I want you to think blood sugar, and I want you to think you have gut bugs in your gut that are thriving on the amount of sugar you're eating. And they're going to continue to send you signals to eat sugary foods so they can stay alive. Okay. They're very smart. They're going to get you to do what they want. You're their host. They're your guest, right? And you're continuing to abide by them because they're sending you these cues. The only way to get it to go away is to start balancing your blood sugar. Okay. You'll also know that you have unsteady energy, right? So you don't have immediate energy because your insulin has just shuttled that huge influx of glucose into other areas. And now you don't have immediate sources of energy. So your body's like, whoa, I'm just so tired. We don't have the energy to go for a walk. I don't have the energy to do my workout, right? Or you're in your workouts and your workouts suck, right? I had somebody email me that her runs, she just feels terrible during her runs. Blood sugar. I'm thinking blood sugar for you, right? So use what you learned today and see where can you start implementing this so that your blood sugar is balanced through your runs. You'll also experience brain fog and maybe some like memory loss or I'm not talking like dementia memory loss. I'm talking like you walk into the room and you're like, I don't remember why I'm here, right? How many times does that happen to you? It happens all the time, right? But that's not normal. Our brain should know why we walked into a room. That can happen because of stress. We're going to talk about stress on Thursday, but also brain fog because your brain loves glucose. Your brain uses glucose for energy. And if your blood sugar is unstable, and you're hearing a lot about high blood sugar today, but keep this in mind, and I'm going to say this again and again. If you have high blood sugar, you also have low blood sugar, right? It's not one or the other, it's both. So when you are crashing down from that meal, you may be experiencing brain fog, a lack of focus. You can also experience anxiety. You can also have increased depression. You'll also notice changes in fertility with unstable blood sugar. This can also cause hormonal imbalances, headaches, and then also sleep. If you struggle with sleep, your blood sugar is something that needs to be addressed. So that means like you either have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, or you wake up and you're not rested. All of that is related to your blood sugar balance. With any of my clients, no matter what they come with me with, if it can be weight loss resistance, hormones, your adrenals, your gut, all of that stems back to your blood sugar balance. If your blood sugar is not balanced, we cannot work on any of that, right? That's how important this is. It's a vicious cycle that so many of us are on, but we think that it's normal. It's not. Okay. And it can easily be solved by putting more focus around the types of foods you eat. So, macronutrients and the times you eat. Macronutrients are important in my practice. Why? Because we're adult women and we need to know basic nutrition. And we need to know what a protein is. We need to know what a fat is. We need to know what a carbohydrate is. We need to know how many vegetables we're eating. This is all so important. And I teach this to you in my practice because I can't just tell you what to eat and then expect you to be able to move on without me, right? I'm teaching you the tools you need to make to have the authority in your life to decide what's right for you and what's best for you. And your blood sugar balance, it impacts you right away, just like we've been talking, right? But it also impacts you long term. Long term problems include insulin resistance. And this is when your insulin has been putting out fires all day, day after day. And pretty soon it starts to become like numb to the response. Okay. It's like when your kids are trying to get you to watch them to do a somersault for the 734th time for that day, it starts to become very easy to ignore them, right? And the same thing happens when you develop insulin resistance. Then the long term, so what happens is that your body becomes numb to seeing all this sugar in your bloodstream all the time. And it starts to become, it's not necessarily like a sluggish response. It's just like over it, right? It doesn't put out the fire as easily and as quickly as it once did. And this is what it's called insulin resistance. So your body just is not as sensitive to insulin as it once was. We want sensitivity. We don't want resistance. So the long-term effects of having sugar hang out in your bloodstream will start to happen because now that sugar is hanging out in your bloodstream, it's not being moved where it needs to be used. So now it's hanging out in your bloodstream. And this leads to what we often see in our society, which is chronic disease, like metabolic syndrome, which is something like type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, fatty liver, and storage of fat around your midsection. along with hormonal imbalances, which is often what I see, and fertility problems. Because when your body is not in a healthy state, it's not going to make fertility a priority. If you can't take care of your body right now, you certainly cannot grow another healthy being. That's what evolution has done for us, right? It's on our side. It's doing that to protect us and our future generations. But here's the thing, even if fertility isn't on your mind right now because you're done having children, or you're not at a point in your life where you're having children, or you're entering peri or menopause, you still need to be concerned about your fertility, because your fertility is your hormonal balance, and it's a key indicator of your health. Ovulation is a beautiful sign and vital sign, right? You go to the doctor, they take your blood pressure, they take your temperature and your pulse, and right, okay, everything looks great. Also, ovulation and your period is a vital sign. I love to use it in my practice, because if your body feels safe enough to ovulate and create another human being, it likely feels safe enough to lose weight. So do not discount your fertility and using that in your favor. Having unstable blood sugar is impairing your body to use the energy that you give it, right? So having unstable blood sugar or insulin resistance, where you're having that sugar hang out in your bloodstream all the time because insulin isn't moving it where it needs to go because it's over it, right? You are eating foods, you're going to continue to eat foods, but your body's not going to use that energy, and it's going to take what it is using and move over into fat storage. It's going to do that over and over. So you're not only not burning fat, because your body's not going to burn fat when it has glucose readily available in your bloodstream. Your body sees insulin and it's like, oh, well, we don't need to burn body fat because there's sugar in here. Why would we go in and burn body fat, which is a lot of work for your body? It's like going into the freezer to thaw chicken breast and frozen green beans and cook it. That's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work, where you could go to the fridge and grab a piece of pizza from last night and reheat it. That's the same thing that your body is thinking when has the option to go in and burn body fat or use all the sugar in your bloodstream, right? Duh, it's going to use the sugar in your bloodstream. So it's not about cutting carbohydrates. It's about using them smarter. Okay. So take that from today. We're not cutting carbohydrates. We're not cutting things out of our diet. We're using them in a smarter way, because your blood sugar has a direct effect on your hormones. It's that important. And when I'm talking about the storage of body fat, like in your midsection and things like that, I'm not demonizing fat, but rather bringing awareness to your symptoms. And it can be as simple as bringing balance to your blood sugar levels to get you feeling better. One other thing is that we often think that high blood sugar is just the problem. And like I said, if you have high blood sugar, you also have low blood sugar. The point is that the blood sugar is not balanced, and we want to bring awareness to both of them. Often I'll see low blood sugar levels being more of a problem of someone who comes to me in a burned out state or in adrenal fatigue. Likely that person has been dieting most of her life and she's at the bottom of the barrel, like I discussed yesterday. And we just need to get your body feeling balanced and feeling safe, so that you can start to feel better. Okay. And you may have had lots of spikes and drops from dieting from too long, or your unbalanced meals that are quick and easy. Your adrenals and thyroids, you just have one. Your adrenals and your thyroid respond to that stress. In unstable blood sugar is stress on your body. It's food stress on your body. And on Thursday, we're going to talk more about stress, but we want to manage our stress. And that includes food stress, and that includes blood sugar management, so that your adrenals and your thyroid work in your favor, right? And that they're not on the back end holding you back. Okay, so foods are not good or bad, but you can use them smarter to feel better. And you can see that it's not actually all about willpower. I hope you see that today. It's not about that you can't get your shit together. It's not about that you're bad. There are physical reasons why you feel the way you do and why you sometimes just can't walk away from the candy bowl. The communication is going on and your body's feeling miswired, and your body is simply trying to survive and make you feel safe. That's what cravings are. It's just communication to you telling you that you need something, but what you need is a balanced meal full of nutrients and not another brownie, cookie, or latte. So let's talk about like the how-tos, right? So we have in your PDFs. So for today, you'll notice on after day 2, after you take your notes from today, you have a daily checklist, right? This is going to be your best friend for the rest of the week because, like I said before, balancing your blood sugar is short term, but it's also long term. So the short term, you're going to feel that right away. You're going to start to notice that you feel actual hunger cues and not faux hunger cues when your body is crashing and needing sugar, right? We want those hunger cues to be accurate. You're going to start to notice that you feel fuller and more satisfied with your meals. So you're going to notice you have more stable energy, right? So first of all, we want to balance your meals. What does this actually look like? This looks like a protein, a fat, your veggies for your fiber. Those 3 things go in every single meal you have for the rest of the week. This includes snacks. Okay, it's that important. Then you add your starchy carbs. So your starchy carbs are anything with sugar. That includes fruit. I don't demonize fruit. I eat fruit. I don't restrict fruit. But do I have a banana by itself? No, I have it with protein and I have it with some peanut butter, right? That's a perfect example of balancing your blood sugar. So you have your protein, your fat, your veggies, every single meal this week. Then you add in your starchy carbohydrates. The other thing that can be really helpful is to not start your meal with starchy carbohydrates. So let's say you brought a piece of fruit with your salad today, eat your salad first and then your fruit, because when your fruit is going to your stomach first, it's being absorbed really quickly, right? Because it's the first thing in there. Your body's going to start doing the work and it's going to absorb that banana or whatever it is that you ate really quickly. If you eat the salad with the chicken and the dressing and the veggies, and then you eat your banana has a buffer to your stomach lining. And that's what we want. You're still getting those great carbohydrates. You're still getting those nutrients from that banana, but it's being slowly absorbed into your bloodstream. So you don't have a blood sugar spike and then a crash. That's what we want to avoid, is the up and the down. We just want it to be stable, Mabel, nice rolling hills of an ebb and a flow of blood sugar. What your plate would look like, if you're trying to decide how much of what and whatnot, is that you look at your plate and you divide half of it. Half of it should be vegetables, right? So about 2 cups of vegetables. A quarter of it should be protein, and then a quarter of it should be starchy carbs. Now, the fat, you don't always see that on your plate, right? Because you're cooking with the oil or your meat has fat in it. So things like that, you can put fat in there. And if you were going to like divvy it out with an avocado or something, I would let it take up half of the room of that starchy carbohydrate. Some other things that are going to help balance your breakfast. So you'll notice on your checklist that I put on there, you ate within 1 hour of waking. Eat your breakfast. The first meal of the day should not be, for one, in excess of carbs without balancing it of protein, fat, and fiber. You'll be on the roller coaster, blood sugar roller coaster all day. And you should not be skipping breakfast. Stop skipping breakfast. This puts your body in another tough spot with your adrenals and your thyroid. Fasting is okay for some, but not for all. And if you don't know if it's you, then please stop. Fill your morning with a beautiful nutrient-dense breakfast so your body feels safe, so it has energy and it's not seeking quick energy through sugar carbohydrates. And it's also not relying on cortisol to get energy. That's what your body does when you skip breakfast. It's like, we don't have food here. How do we find it? It increases cortisol to go find the sugar, which is a beautiful thing. And we need that, but we don't need it every day, right? Because most of you are beyond stressed out and you don't need more cortisol. This is a recipe for adrenal burnout. The other thing, walk after your meals. 10 up to 10 minutes will reduce that immediate blood sugar spike. So you'll start to notice that if you were wearing like a blood sugar monitor or something like that, you would notice that you don't have a spike. If you go for a walk after a meal, you would notice that it levels off nicely and rounds down. And what you would notice physically, what you feel like, is just having better energy for the rest of the day, having reduced cravings. You'll also expose yourself to the sun, especially if you go for a walk outside, which I definitely encourage you to do. And that helps set up circadian rhythm, which if you have been following me for a while, you know that that's my jam. I love circadian rhythm. Strength training. Where's the first stop that glucose goes once it hops on the insulin bus? Your muscles. If you're using your muscles, you're using your glucose. When you're using your glucose, it's not going to be stored as fat, right? Do strength training, grow your muscles, get stronger. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. If you don't know where to start when it comes to strength training, join Mega Strong Fitness. They're great, and she's going to lead you through your workouts, and all you have to do is show up and lift the weights. Avoid added sugars. Okay. It's just not necessary. Why is there added sugar in these foods? For taste and to make sure you come back and get more, right? We already know that your brain seeks out these foods. We don't need to reinforce it with extra sugar. So leave out any added sugar. You don't need to add sugar to your coffee. You don't need, make sure and look at labels. If there's added sugar on there, I would ask yourself, is it really worth it? Typically, there's so many foods out there that sometimes you go to the grocery store and you're like, this is all added sugar. At what point, what can I eat? That's up to you. But if there's maybe less than 5 grams of added sugar in it, there is fiber. That's the other thing you want to look for. You have a nutrition label, use it to your advantage. If there's added sugar, there damn well better be fiber. Okay. So making sure that, if it's something that's kind of like AK worth it and it has less than 5 grams. I was using the example of an Olipop the other day for one of my calls. Olipop is like a probiotic drink. It has 4 grams of added sugar in it, but it has 9 grams of fiber. It's totally worth it for me. I'm good with that. Okay. Fruit is great. There is not added sugar in fruit. It just is abundant in sugar, right? So that just means we definitely eat fruit, but we pair it with our protein, our fat, and our veggies, right? We're having complete meals this week. Okay, so on your checklist, you eat 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Do all 3 of them. I know it's easy to skip breakfast. Look at this. Do I recommend eating breakfast before an early workout? Usually I do. So, I can't actually even think of anyone right now that I have told them that they can skip their morning, breakfast workout. I would rather have you do that than do nothing. I just did a program where I had people, it was called the Live Well Project. Maybe some of you are actually in it right now or just finishing up. A lot of that was just getting women to start eating breakfast. And so I would look at their workout routine and what time they were eating breakfast, and it was significantly later. And the whole purpose of Live Well Project is to start eating better, more foods more often, and getting your body out of a stress state. And so when we go out and we do a workout and we haven't ate anything, we'll likely notice that we feel tired very quickly. And if you don't, likely your body is just depending on stress hormones to get you through. And if you are carrying a lot of stress with you already, right, just your normal daily life feels really stressful, and you're adding a workout on top of it without any fuel, that's another stressor for your body. That's 2 stressors, because workouts are stress on your body. It's good stress, it's purposeful stress, but it is stress on your body. And then you also have the added stress of no food. And so that's a lot. And so I do suggest that. So we don't want to have, I know we work out really early in the morning, at least I do. And so what I do is I wake up, I have a protein shake and I have a banana, right? Because I know I'm going to be working out right away within a half hour of eating that banana. My glucose doesn't even hardly has time to even go up at all in that short amount of time. And then I also have protein in there too, to help slow the absorption of that banana, but also help rebuild my muscles right away, right? So it has that source in it. So I actually do have a continuous glucose monitor. I wear it off and on. So I actually have one on right now and I'm going to go over the call today, and that's fine. Because I went on vacation a couple of weeks ago to Florida, did not, I wanted my purpose for vacation, my want for vacation was to not think about anything besides fully relaxing and enjoying. So I drank more alcohol than I normally would, and I was okay with that. I don't regret a single decision I made. And I also just I ate really healthy, but I ate maybe more carbohydrates than I normally would, like things like bread that I don't eat at home. So I came back and I had insatiable amounts of sugar cravings. Like it was so annoying amount of sugar cravings. And normally I just don't. Like normally I can get by with a piece of dark chocolate, but I'm talking my appetite was like, I need to have half of a piece of chocolate cake right now because that's the only thing that I feel like is going to make me feel better. It was that bad. And so I put my glucose monitor on so I can start monitoring it and just seeing where am I hanging out at. And guess what? My blood sugar is not high. My blood sugar is low. My blood sugar is bottomed out. And that's why I'm craving sugar all the time. So what do I need to do? I need to make sure my meals are have everything that they need to have. I need to make sure I'm having carbohydrates, especially with my workouts. I need to make sure I'm moving my body. I need to make sure I'm all of the carbohydrates that I am eating are very purposeful and they're going to be refueling me and getting me to feel very good, right? So I've been home for almost 3 weeks now, 2 weeks. No, only 2 weeks. And I feel better already, right? Last week was tough. This week is so much better. Having all 4 categories in each meal. So protein, fat, veggies, or fiber. So I do say like search for fiber sources. So if you're going to have something that isn't like you're not going to have vegetables, search out a fiber source. This can look like flaxseed or chia seed. Those are really easy ways to get fiber in. I walked. I want you to walk each day and especially pair it after your largest meal of the day. I love to see that at lunch. Your digestion is so good around the lunchtime. So if you have your largest meal at lunch, which is what I encourage you to, then go for a 10 to 15 minute walk afterwards and see how different you feel for the rest of the day. No naked carbohydrates. That just means that we don't just go out and eat a banana by itself. We just have some nut butter and some protein with it. Also, like we're not having, I'm trying to think of another quick source of carbohydrate. They're everywhere, right? Like a Twinkie, like just don't eat that. Or a granola bar, right? Granola bars are just carbohydrates, or oats. That's a great one. Oats are great. They have some fiber in them, but we need to still buffer that slow release of carbohydrates. And you can do that by easily adding some nut butters and some protein powder to your oats. And now you have a very complete meal with fiber. You're going to have a slower absorption of oats. You're going to have less of a blood sugar spike and less of a crash. And then eating within an hour of waking. So if you're somebody who's like, I'm just not hungry in the mornings, I'm really challenging you this week to eat anyway, to have something, get your body up and going. And so that it has fuel and it's not not going into a stress state to try to create its own fuel. Okay. I think that's all I have. Tomorrow, same time, same place, we are going to talk about your metabolism, because a lot of times we think our metabolism is a problem and that's why we can't lose weight. And the truth is that your metabolism is not the problem. It's your actions that are the problem. It's your body is just responding in a way that it should respond to its environment. So let's look at your environment and let's see how can we take care of your metabolism. Your metabolism is never broken. It's just doing what it should do. But there are ways that we can support your metabolism and get it functioning at a higher rate so that as you lose weight, you're not sitting at the bottom of the barrel like we have been discussing the last couple of days. We're avoiding the bottom of the barrel. You're at the top of the barrel. You're going to be floating. You're going to have lots of life and lots of vitality. And you can do that while losing weight. We have to support your metabolism. Okay. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.